Here we are, well into 2026. Been a while since you've heard anything recent from us, huh? 2025 was pretty quiet with the exception of one aspirational trip that produced a lot of content. But we hear your questions. How are things? How are you feeling? What are you up to? So we're shifting that new content by 1 week so we can catch you up on what's been going down in the last year or so, how things are, how we're feeling, and what we've been up to. So let's hop aboard Slim and get this started. So everybody say hi to Slim. And Slim, you say hi to everybody here.
Hi, guys.
A lot of people miss you.
Oh.
Might be too far away to see, but on that stop sign it says mile 0. I'm actually right off of SR 74, the Carefree Highway. Travels between like North Phoenix and Wickenburg. And this is the beginning, or one of the beginnings or entrances to the Castle Hot Springs Dirt Road Drive. Done this before actually on a similar update video years ago, so I thought this would be fun to revisit it. Just get out there, enjoy the desert. Most of our videos as of late have been from far up north in pine forests and different scenery, so heading back to our roots here. But all I gotta do is mount a couple cameras, get things set up, and we're gonna be hitting the road here momentarily. I want to start off with a quick disclaimer, and this is really geared towards anybody new that's never really seen my channel, or maybe you're not as familiar with this. Maybe you found this video because of keywords like Castle Hot Springs off-road route, and you just want to see the route. You're going to get all that. I'm doing my usual thing that you would see on this channel with one caveat. Going to be talking about a lot of personal updates. So usually my content would be more focused on history, the route, the terrain, whatever's pertinent to the moment, not me talking about myself. I don't do that often on this channel. So I don't want to mislead anybody. If you've gotten here and you start to find yourself annoyed, please don't write us off. Go check out some other videos before you make that judgment. So if you can tolerate the personal updates and stuff as we get through this thing, you're still gonna see the route. I'm gonna film the whole journey today. It's just gonna be stuffed with a lot of banter and updates. It's really meant for my core audience, the ones that are heavily invested in the channel and those that have been asking me a lot of questions as of late. Taking this video as an opportunity to answer some of the questions we've been getting in the comments, basically, and to kind of to build excitement for what's actually starting next week on our upcoming content. I think you're gonna like what you're gonna hear. I think most of you, if not all of you. So we're gonna cover all of that on this video. Where I want to begin today with my updates is I'm kind of gonna jump out of order from my original plan, and I want to plug something really quick and inject something that I wasn't gonna release for a few more weeks, but had a change of heart. So I've recently been filming a lot, and I'm gonna go into more detail about that in a minute, but I just got back from a really short trip up in northern Arizona, ended up in the Kingman area, and several weeks ago, a fellow YouTuber, actually one that I've been watching for years, that I consider a large YouTuber, a successful YouTuber, reached out to me, and we just started chatting, you know, very casually, tentatively. Both kind of expressed an interest. I think it'd be kind of cool to meet at some point. So I had an opportunity, reached out. He was in the Kingman area at the same time I was. So I had a chance to actually meet and hang out with another fellow YouTuber. The first time I've ever done that in my life. And it was awesome, actually. Really super excited about the whole thing. Most of you, I'm gonna guess, not only know who he is, you probably are subscribed to him and are probably a big fan of the guy. So why don't I just kind of insert a clip here from that afternoon I got to hang out with him, and all will be explained. All right, I'm back, everybody, at the El Trovatore, and I ran into somebody here in Kingman, so you probably know who he is, but check this out. Oops.
Hey everybody, and hi Glenn.
Hey.
Cactus Atlas. This is Russ, RVer TV. Hello all.
Hey. So Russ just took me out around the town. He showed me some awesome sights. He treated me to something to eat. What's the name of the place we went to again?
Rutherford's. It's the
Rutherford's.
old Route 66 diner right up the road here.
Okay.
All these old motels through here are all themed
Okay, yeah.
for the route. Coming up pretty soon will be the May Fun Run, all kinds of stuff. Glenn's up here filming all kinds of stuff along the old route.
I am. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're showing me all the secret spots too.
Heck yeah.
So-
Yeah, just took him out to Fort Beale, the camp out there,
Yeah.
the spring, all the historic old wagon grooves in the dirt and all that. But yeah, having a real good visit with Glenn, and I highly recommend Glenn's channel.
Huh, well, thank you very much. I'm
Yeah.
humbled, actually. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Russ. Well, been awesome. So thank you so much.
It's been an honor to see you and meet you, sir.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay, you take care.
All right. Isn't that cool? Like that just made my day. Like that made my year so far, actually. So of course, those of you that know him, he needs no introduction, but that's Russ is his name. He has a channel called RV or TV. Been doing this a long time. Very successful YouTuber in the niche, this travel niche we find ourselves in. And I've watched him for many years. So if you don't know who he is, I'm gonna put a recommendation for a video in the description of his, a recent video that he did. That might be of interest, especially if you've seen some of my content, because we do frequent a lot of the same areas, he and I. And there's a video he made on Cathedral Gorge in Nevada that I think would be interesting, because when he went, he had an opportunity to see this overlook in this area that was closed when I went. And then I think I did a lot of heavy exploration in some of the caves and slots there, that he kind of focused on some areas that I didn't go to, and maybe a little bit vice versa. So it might be interesting to compare and contrast the two. We both camped at the same campground, so it was really cool for me to see his perspective on it. And you could see my perspective on it. He camps in a van, I camp in a tent. It just seems to be a good recommendation for you to check him out. But here's what I want. If you don't know who he is, if you've not heard of him, do this for me. Go check out that video, or go to his channel. I'll put links to his channel and that video. Look through his offerings. I'm sure you'll find something you'll like. Give it a try, watch it. And if you like it, definitely subscribe, because I know you're gonna love it. And then, not only that, I want you to do me a favor. Drop him a comment if you decide to subscribe, and tell him the Cactus Atlas sent you, so he knows that, that I got you to go from here to over there. So, and I promise you, I've never done this ever before. I don't really plug other people unless I really like them, and it's rare that I plug anything. So I want you to know I'm being very genuine. I like his channel that much. I've been watching it for years, and I don't want to just recommend something to play games. I really genuinely think you'll like it. So give it a chance. RV or TV. His name's Russ. Awesome guy, and you're gonna love it. I know you will. Now, on a side note, a more personal level, it's kind of a fun story, is that I'm technically, I know it doesn't seem like it when you're watching me film myself, because I'm alone, it's easy, but I'm really a pretty introverted, shy kind of person that avoids things like that. I avoid social events. I avoid people. You know, my wife is my best friend. And I'm not really good at networking, and I know that's a problem. It's a problem in every aspect of my life. I know I need to do a better job doing it. But normally with something like that meeting with Russ, my usual style would be someone like that would reach out. I would be cordial, friendly, but I would either have an excuse or some reason why I couldn't do it, and just practice avoidance. It's just how I am. Not because I don't want to hang out with people or whatever, I'm just like that. This guy, for whatever reason, I see his videos, I've always felt very comfortable. He's a very relaxed, chilled out vibe. That's why I like his channel. His videos are very road trip inspired. He's on the road. So if you watched our northern tour on the Cactus Atlas, that's why I'm so sure you're gonna like his stuff, because he's that's kind of his style. You see a lot of road footage. He's describing what he's seeing, but you hear the genuine excitement and enthusiasm it's not fake, right? I think some YouTubers just come across as instantly fake to me, and he's not like that. He doesn't come across that way anyway. And what I wanted to share was like, once I met him, like, he's honestly the same guy that like I envisioned him to be, right? How often in life can you say that about people? Just really super nice, like has a very humble, kind personality, genuinely seems to like to want to help people. So like it turned out exactly how I thought it would, in a good way. I guess I should bring my attention to the surrounding landscape as we drive, deeper in here. There's a wilderness area to the right, not quite yet, but Hell's Canyon Wilderness Area, I think off limits to motorized traffic. So we're going deep into the Sonoran Desert. So if you like your saguaro cacti, cholla, you already see a ton of them. And there's some really cool spots on this drive. A lot of it's like this. I would say a pure 1 out of 10, the easiest kind of off-road or dirt road drive you could ever hope to take. I mean, a lot of these roads back here are extremely wide. The washboards aren't even that bad. I'm surprised. I was expecting washboard city today. I do plan on finding some nice views along the way. We'll be stopping on plenty. I brought my drone too. I think most of this is BLM land back here. I'll double check before we get airborne, consult my charts and things and make sure I'm legal and can fly like a good boy. I am a FAA certified Part 107 license holder who's current, registered, everything like that. I try to make a good example for people flying drones and try to play exactly by the rule book and not do things I'm not supposed to do. In fact, this looks like maybe a good little spot to do our first little on foot thing, and we'll look at this landscape here a little bit more closely, that we're further away from noisy SR 74, State Route 74, the Carefree Highway. Highly doubtful we're gonna see any interesting wildlife out here, but there is a lot of poo-poo here that might be wild burro poo-poo, might be one of my best guesses, followed by cattle, but probably more likely burros. So if we see anything today, that would be my bet. Sometimes I call these bets really well, actually, especially recently. Things you haven't seen yet, but you could see the beautiful Sonoran Desert here. A lot of saguaro cacti. If you're not from Arizona, this is basically, the very common scene once you get out of the urban sprawl of Phoenix. To me, this is for I don't know how many years now, over 20, been living out here. This is just, for me, every day, what life looks like for someone that lives in this region. So I'm recording this, I want to say it's April 9th. It's Sunday, April, I want to say the 19th, if I'm computing it correctly. If I'm wrong, our editor will put the right date on here. But my point is, we're planning on releasing this upcoming Thursday. So the point to that is, this is the most recent thing you've seen of me, right? Those of you that have been watching the Northern Tour, you know that I filmed all of that last August. My style of YouTubing is, I go on these trips, and usually I have a full-time job, so you're seeing my vacation weeks, 3-day weekends, weekend warrior stuff, and I cram in as much as I can. I make as many episodes as I can that will usually last for weeks or months. Then it's not my problem, it's my wife's problem, the editor, from there. And then you're not getting the current me that often. So that's why I like to do these from time to time, is to give you more direct access to the current Glenn and what's going on in my life. Because some of you are really invested and care. It's very clear and very humbling too at the same time, but that's really what we're up to. So I guess that's a good starting point. So last year if you didn't know this, I took a 3-week trip, drove all the way to the Canadian border in Montana, spent a lot of time up in the Flathead National Forest, did some dirt road driving in some awesome places up there, spent time in Glacier National Park. So I basically started the video in like Flagstaff, Arizona, went through Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, came back through Wyoming. So we hit Yellowstone, Grand Teton, into Nevada, so Great Basin National Park, all a bunch of state parks, did some fishing along the way. For 3 weeks straight, I camped almost the whole time with the exception of one night in the middle of the trip. Spent the night in tents, and it was an amazing trip. It was really meant to get content for my app, my website, Camp View, which is, I'm gonna plug it really fast, just bear with me. It's spelled CAMPVUE. There's a YouTube channel of that name and a website, campview.com. And I'll just summarize it. It's basically, think of if you're familiar with campsite photos, I know you RVers and people in tent camping know campsitephotos.com. I'm a huge, long time fan of that site. I've used it extensively. But the gist of it is you see pictures of campsites, right? And if you're in an RV, your concern is my rig gonna be able to make that turn? Is the driveway long enough? What does it look like? Maybe you're in a tent like me and you wanna know, is this site right up on another site? How private is it gonna be? All of these questions, right? So campsitephotos.com, you know, is their intent is to help you with that. I'm taking a new, I'll call it a next gen take on the same formula, where I use wide angle video. Think of Google Street View, right? If you're familiar with that, but just think of that inside of a campground, that kind of idea. You can like see sites, I drive by them and you can see the whole sweeping wide angle view of it to get that visual intel. The website does it. I also publish those drive-through videos on YouTube, so you can use any one you want. The website also has a review system, so think Yelp. I borrowed very heavily from Yelp's playbook, you know, their user experience and Google reviews. So there's like a 5-star review system. You can report on other things like privacy, RV suitability, you know, to help build data for the community. So by you writing the reviews and reporting on those things, you're helping other campers out. You're supplementing the knowledge base. And then on top of it, behind the scenes, I'm integrating AI into the user experience that's using all that data, all of your review data in my search experience. So everything you guys contribute to literally makes the website smarter. It really, truly does. It's amazing. So I encourage you, campview.com. If you see any campgrounds we featured that you've camped at, create an account. It's free. There's nothing that I charge for at all. You just got to create an account, write a review, and you're actually literally you're contributing to the knowledge base in a huge way. So just writing the reviews is humongous. You don't realize how much value that actually creates. So, but I'm building new features all the time. I've got a good basis, a good platform I've built now. So the things that I'm really working towards are really gonna make the site stand out. So it's already got a lot of value right now. But please check it out at the least. If you're a camper, bookmark it, remember it. You're gonna want it when the time comes, I guarantee it. All right, sorry about that. I know some of you hear that spiel a lot, but I gotta do it, you know? I gotta do it. So I guess where I left off would be, so last August, it would have been August the 13th, if I remember correctly, was the day I returned home from Phoenix after what would be episode 39. We made 39 episodes, my God, on that northern tour. And I came home, and then the first 2 to 3 days, something like that, I was spending all day into the evening, backing up all of the clips onto our network hard drive, our NAS, at home. And, you know, organizing the folders, putting clips where they belong, dating everything for my wife. So basically I dumped it all, put it on the hard drive, like kind of wiped my hands clean, and then it became her problem. So that was basically the last active thing I have done for the Cactus Atlas was probably, I'm gonna guess maybe August 17th or 18th-ish, somewhere around there. Finished dumping the last many terabytes. I forget how many terabytes of footage I got. It was insane. But dumped it all on the hard drive and I walked away. And ever since, my wife has been going through all of that, making what is now the Northern Tour that you guys have watched. So, and that's been her full-time job. Sometimes I edit a video or two if I need to help out with something, but want to be clear about that for me, the Cactus Atlas has been more of a weekend warrior, you know, occasional, you get a 3-day weekend, or you're you know, maybe once or twice a year, you take a week-long vacation, and then I try to make like, you know, I mean, you can kind of put it all together if you go look at our back catalog and see it. You'll see how it makes sense. But that's how it's been, and that's how it really essentially continues to be to this day. But do note that for me, Cactus Atlas got way deprioritized after that trip. I set it aside, and that was really it until very recently, the last couple weeks. What ended up happening was I got back from that trip. Most of you long-term viewers know the history of the last couple of years and what's happened to me, right? I started off, got laid off from a long-time job that I was there almost a decade. Great company, great paying job in software engineering. Was part of a giant layoff, like when all these tech layoffs started. I decided, you know, because I was financially, my future financial planning, I was on track for what we needed to do, was comfortable, decided I'm just gonna take a few months off into 2024 and start this idea that was CampView, because I wanted to build an app. And I wanted to building little hedges in life that really were meant to bridge gaps later, maybe like a 10-year plan from now. I've been doing Cactus Atlas, trying to keep it warm, build CampView, not to make a lot of money right now in the short term, but to build it at my leisure over a decade or more. So when I would get closer to my retirement years, if I saved and hit my goal you know, my financial independence goal, mixed with having these endeavors after maybe a decade of keeping it warm and growing it organically, not stressing about it, maybe in 10 years, my hope would be that it's covering the bills, right? So 2024 was mainly about starting the app. Wasn't ever planning on finishing it before I went back to work. 2024 was really about going and filming a bunch of campgrounds to get the content to power the app. So in 2024, I had pretty much built the UI, but there was no database. The main part wasn't built. Went on the road, went up and down the Sierra Nevada a couple times, filmed most campgrounds between like Kernville all the way to Yosemite, and then many other places too. So I had a good offering to start with, but I was planning on going back to work, showing that work to explain the several month gap that I had in employment for future employers. Figured no big deal, all good to go, right? Like it seemed like a solid plan to me. And then I discovered it late summer, early September, something like that. I had some weird like lump in my mouth that ended up being cancer. And that turned my world and my wife's world completely upside down. Now I had no choice. Like now I had months in front of me where I needed to treat that, face it head on, get through treatment. Luckily, I'm just gonna say it like right now, that's all in the rear view mirror for me now. So don't expect a lot. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. To me, I want it to be a thing of the past. Yes, if you've been through it, you know you have surveillance you gotta do, right? And everything since then has been great. I mean, I actually feel better physically and in many ways mentally than I did before I even knew I had that. But the main point is that threw a major curveball, caused major delays in my plan, right? So meanwhile, my employment gap is like continuing. I'm stressing about that. But then I thought about it. It's like, I have been working. I have never stopped working. I've never stopped building software. I'm building more compared to what I was doing. I would argue I'm doing more sophisticated things now than I ever have been. So I was thinking, I'm in a great spot here, right? But once I got through that treatment and stuff and then thought about the Northern Tour, I realized that it's even more important now to finish the app, right? Take it all the way to home plate. So now we're kind of at the end of that Northern Tour where I decided to get even more content. I worked and busted my butt to get the whole thing released. It's live. It's been live since like last October, I think, campview.com. And at that point, it was not as so much about finishing CampView for the CampView users. It was more about like making sure I have a very robust resume profile and digital portfolio for my professional profile. Like it was all about that. And that was, I'm gonna pull over here, get some more views, but that's really what it had become. And it became super important to finish it for that reason more than anything else. And so that would probably take us through October. I released it kind of quietly. I didn't come out with a big bang. I wanted to sneak it out, get users to start coming in, see if we had bugs or problems, which we really didn't. Like, I mean, I guess that says I'm a good developer, right? So, so anyway, that would take us through like October of last year. So that's really what I was focusing on, was writing code using AI these days to do a lot of the heavy lifting, to be honest, but doing modern workflows, all of that, but hustling to get that product out the door in an initial form that it needed to be. I think this looks like a really good vantage point to get the drone up maybe. I got to double check and see what land parcel I'm on before I do anything like that, but it's getting, you could see it's getting more and more beautiful in my opinion. As the deeper we go and get away from civilization, the nicer this gets. Now I'm distracting myself too much and getting off track. But basically, where were we? Kind of talked about, I released Campview, right, is where I left off. So this would have been October. And my intent has been to get a job again in software engineering, despite everything I've been through, pulled through it. I'm now a better version of myself mentally, certainly physically, much better shape and much healthier than I was before I even knew I had a problem, ironically. Feeling positive, feeling like it's time to get back, go back to a normal life and get a job. You know, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I still want to do. And, you know, many of you know, like how the tech market is right now. The job market's been tough in general. So I don't want to make it sound like, woe is me, I'm a tech guy. But I'd say the tech industry has been hit extremely hard. It's already disrupted. Many of you are commenting on our channel, other fellow developers or people that work in the industry, you know, giving me a heads up saying, dude, it is bad. You know, people have been looking, some of you were saying it, you're on month 7 or 8 trying to find something. And I'm here behind the scenes thinking, I've never had a problem finding a job, like in my entire career. I was really optimistic. Maybe I've been lucky. That's very possible, just coincidentally. I don't know. But I'm like thinking, I'm the man. I released this new app. Like, people are going to be fighting over me. Like, let's do it. So this is October of last year is where we're at. So that's when I started to apply for jobs again. I was being very selective early on, not applying, not pray and spray style applications. I hear everybody's doing that kind of thing. And I had a couple small bites, nothing panned out. But I was not too discouraged because I knew I started the process in October, going into Thanksgiving, the holidays. Historically, probably in any industry, it's probably the worst time you could possibly apply for jobs. So I didn't really think much of it. I just figured bad timing. So what I decided to do around November is I figured, you know what, let's just take advantage of this time to even build my digital portfolio, like my GitHub profile, for those of you know what that is. I built several apps and several things to really like enhance my portfolio even further. I published like an OSS project, like open source project, like on NPM, you know, doing everything you're supposed to do, right? Very active GitHub profile, very active commit graph. I felt the best I ever have coming out of like the holidays. I was like, surely I got this, man. Like, I got this, like, no problem. So feeling good still at this point. And then January came and I'm starting to have that reality check of this is ugly. So then I kind of went to the spray and pray methodology of just, I've applied to in the hundreds of jobs. Like, so all the things you hear people complain about and talk about, I'm just one more to add to a very, very long list, right? We're in an age where many companies let go many talented people, thousands and thousands, and it continues to happen. So my competition is through the roof. Most jobs I apply to are actually remote jobs. I'd love to have a remote job, but like in that pool, I mean, you're almost always competing against, at a minimum, hundreds of other applicants. Oftentimes, some would say into the thousands, right? So, like, it's just, and you're basically now, most of the time you apply and you're at the mercy of an ATS system. So they call it AI. I call BS on that. If they really used AI to analyze resumes, I think things would be a lot better. But anyway, a lot of keyword checking or whatever. So you're almost always going to get filtered out because maybe you weren't the first 10, like the 10th person that applied. Recruiters are flooded. It's just an absolute nightmarish mess. There's the leak code beatings do continue. I would say more companies are using leak code, like style gate checks, which you all know, you senior devs know what I'm talking about. It's frustrating because it's like, where do I spend my time? Do I need to now spend my time like weeks, months, like to prepare for an interview that may never happen for skills that I'll never use on the job? You know, you simultaneously have companies saying, we don't want coders, like we don't code anymore, yet we're gonna test you on these like really hardcore algorithmic challenges and trivia. It's just an absolute mess, a frustrating mess. I guess I'm gonna just leave it at that. Like the main point is, things are as bad or worse than I thought they would be by far. And while I have had a couple little successes in there, I did get the attention of a very prestigious company. I'm still in the running for the job as far as I know. I got through the final interview. I think I had 7 interviews. Unlike every other company, this company, the recruiters are awesome. They keep in close contact with me. I was getting updates on a regular cadence. They're notoriously long in their hiring process. It's not uncommon for their process to take months. And I've been in this thing for months. But all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, like that cadence, you know, the recruiter's kind of gone silent now. So I really was in a dark place a few weeks ago. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I feel like it's done. I am like, still a little bit of hope that thing I'm telling you about is gonna come through, because the job itself is like exactly what I want to do. It seems stable. It does not seem like a complete grind where they're gonna require my soul and they're gonna take advantage of you and all this kind of stuff. And there's prestige to it, I would say also. And the people were all cool. I really want it badly. I really do. But yeah, the silence, the waiting, it just started really weighing on me. So I decided I really need to make a video or two. I need to just get out of the house, right? Because everything that I was doing was just didn't seem like a good use of my time. So then I kind of brought my attention back to the Cactus Atlas and just really said to myself, like, I need to probably raise the Cactus Atlas to the top priority. Well, still job search, you know, prioritizing interviews is the top priority, but probably cutting it out with the pray and spray application. It's just not a good use of time. Being very selective, trying to ensure I get the type of job I want that's healthy, that's not gonna put me in an early grave like many that I've had in the past. And basically just do the Cactus Atlas full time until I can get that, you know, stable life back, job, like, you know. So my current desire and priority is to go back to the way things were when I was working for the last company I worked for, where probably still try to maintain a weekly cadence, but I really want like my old life back, like before all this stuff happened. I want nothing more. And that's really what I'm going to work towards. But in the meantime, I just think that to help pay the bills, to have a gig, what does one do? Hey everybody, I wanted to inject myself in here very briefly to tell you about something brand new here on the Cactus Atlas. For many years, many of you have asked us, what can we do to help you guys out? And our answer has always been, just watch the videos, like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and that goes a very long way, and that absolutely remains to be true. So keep up the great work there. But for those that might want to contribute more, we've set up an account on buymeacoffee.com where you can now donate to help fuel future episodes and future endeavors with the Cactus Atlas. A great example of how the proceeds would be used is I've got this really bratty, hungry pickup truck named Slim, who actually is probably the biggest workhorse on our channel. We've been putting him to good use, as you're gonna see in the upcoming months on all the content we've been filming. So if you wanna fill the boy's belly with delicious, delicious gasoline, that's a very good use case for Buy Me a Coffee. So if you're interested in doing so, go to buymeacoffee.com/cactusatlas. We're gonna put a link right at the very top of the description for this video so you can click it and go directly there. And if you wanna contribute to the cause, feel free, and if not, just keep watching the videos, keep doing what you're doing, and that's awesome. And that's it. Let's get right back into today's video. You guys enjoying the ride, or am I fatiguing you with all of my woes? And if the answer is yes to that, completely understandable. So yeah, basically I think what I was gonna say is, at this point in time, reviewing everything we've done to date, I know what works best for our channel. I've gotten back to, I think what brought all of the subscribers in. Most of the people around here really like off-roading or dirt road driving, however you want to call it, to very remote places that are hard to get to, and that especially contain places with historic interests. So that'll be your old mines, that'll be old ghost towns, indigenous, like Native American ruins, the classic stuff that has done really well for us in the past. That's now my renewed focus. And essentially, I've already made a lot of episodes, so I know what's coming up on the horizon. And I can tell you, there are multiple things on there that were absolute bucket list items for me that were really hard to get to, really far away, which are the reasons why I kept putting them off. And I finally have been circling back around and hitting up a lot of that stuff. Some really cool Old West history that still remains if you know where to find it. Really amazing things. So I've already dumped the footage on the hard drive. Amy's starting to edit. I've reviewed it all. I haven't been this excited about what's upcoming in a long time, where I just wish I could fast forward the clock just to get some of these things released and see what the response is gonna be to some of the stuff. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it. I don't wanna give everything away, but there are even places, I know some of you viewers over the years have been like, have you been here? Have you done that? And we'd be like, yeah, we're getting to it, but rest assured, I wouldn't be surprised if we've already hit most of the things that people have kind of called out or wondered if we were gonna ever visit. So, all right, so let's get back in the truck and let's continue our drive and our talk, and probably spend a little bit more time enjoying the drive at this point. I've kind of gotten you caught up to date with what's going on in my life and like the general plan, what I'm gonna be doing here to get through life, and I just want to get back to normal, man. That's all I want. I'm not asking for much here. It's like, not looking to get rich. I'm not looking to win the lottery. Not that type of a thinker. I just want a frickin' job doing what I know how to do. Is that so wrong? I also want to be crystal clear. I don't want people to think that my wife and I are in dire straits. We're in no danger of, like, financial danger for, years, I would say, of being kicked out of our house, not being able to eat. That's not the concern for me, to be honest. The concern for me is I've really invested heavily. I've learned how to do my own investing, like long-term investing. I've followed like the FIRE philosophy, the financial independence, retire early philosophy. Basically, if you read J.J. Collins, you know what I mean? That's what I've done. I've had companies that did very generous way above average 401k matching, taken full advantage of that now for a long time in my life. I've taken all of the surplus. I have no debt. My wife and I live very frugally compared to the average American. There's actually a burrow up here that we're gonna stop and see. So I've done all of that stuff right. I've put myself in a great position. I am on track to retire early, technically at this very juncture. The problem is, the longer I go without continuing to contribute and save is a big problem. And number two, having to spend what some would call optionality is highly undesirable. But we're probably in a better situation than most people. So I have a lot to be thankful for. I don't want you people to worry in that sense. That's not what this is about. But I'm frustrated as hell, like by the situation. But that's really the stakes for me is right now, it's like I have options later and those options are gonna start to compress, right? So we'll just leave it at that. But I wanna be clear that we're not in like some dire situation, but my dreams, like what I've been dreaming and working towards is the thing that's under threat basically at this point in time. I just want to make a quick note. I did call it earlier, did I not? I said if we're going to see anything today, it would probably be wild burros. And I got it right again. You're going to see another episode. Hey, I'm not going to bother you. Trust me. That one is not happy. I'm sorry, man. They usually don't get that ornery like that. Trust me, I would not mess with those. I got bit by one of those in like not a dissimilar situation, and it's caught on video. I made a video. I'm gonna just plug it now while we're looking at those guys. But I was in Oatman. I had bought a bunch of that feed that you feed the burros roaming the streets there. Those were fine. Like those were not a problem. But there were so many people feeding the ones in town that they just were done. They didn't want to eat anymore. So those like grass pellet things, right? So I was leaving town, and as many of you that travel that route, the Route 66 to Oatman know, a lot of these guys actually hang out on the road. Like they will even block the road, I think, because they're so trained on people stopping and pulling over. And there's a group about that size. So I got out, I was like, I'm gonna be a good guy and just give these guys the rest of this feed. It's good for them. I'm not feeding them things that are bad for them like people do. So I was like doing a good service. So I was feeding one came up, was eating out of my hand, and then one came from the side, I didn't see it, and it chomped down, it bit my arm, like my wrist. And I'm here to tell you, man, the power of their jaws, I think I just got a warning bite. I have to imagine they could break bone if they really wanted to. It hurt bad. I for a split second thought it was gonna fracture my arm. And you could see the teeth marks on my arm, and it hurt badly. Like that was one of the most painful things in my recent times that I can remember. So I don't mess with those things, and you could tell that one was not happy. Like it sounded mad. But anyway, I'm not here to bother you guys. Like I just wanted to come and admire your beauty. I'm gonna get out of your hair. You guys keep going on doing you. Don't mind me. But anyway, wild burros, just like I said there would be. Some of the best parts of the drive, I think this is one of the best parts of this drive, by the way. So that view is, I don't even remember that. It's been so long since I've been back here, but that is an award-winning view that we just saw off to our left that way. That is something. kind of a cool sign and angle, I think, with a mountain in the background. I don't know if you could see there's an American flag flying at the very top of that peak. I bet you that's the summit of that, and I think there is a trail, a hiking trail associated with a resort where you can go up there, but just covered in saguaro. Once again, just beautiful scenery, so peaceful out here. And I don't know what all these buildings are. I see a bunch of side-by-sides. I guess that it's probably, the resort probably rents out side-by-sides, if I had to guess, for people staying here. I don't know. There is a sign that says private property, so you can pass through. So that it's not off limits, but they're just saying drive slow. And, you know, you could see all around here. It's actually quite beautiful. Maybe someone's gonna come up and yell at me and say, you can't be filming like that. And I'll say, okay, I'll leave. I said, I don't wanna do the wrong thing or bother anyone. I'm not like that. But I think if I remember, I might have even filmed this the last time I was up here. The resort is right down there. Let's turn around. It's really a beautiful property. You can see how lush and green it is down there. And I'm really going off of distant memory, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But you can see like a yellow house over there. I don't know if that's currently for rent, but I want to say that's where past presidents, like I want to say Kennedy, keep wanting to go back to Kennedy, or somebody of note, people have stayed in that. And then somewhere, I think up against there are like 2 or 3 like pools, which I believe are natural hot springs back here. And then all throughout the property are little, I don't know if those are for guests down there, those little trailers, but they're like really quaint looking residences you can sleep in. Anyway, that's the best I can do for Castle Hot Springs Resort. We'll drive through. I don't think you actually go through the property, so you're not gonna get to see it. But I do remember, I think when we go down here, the cool part where that wash is, where there might even be water flowing. So it's almost like driving through a river sometimes, if I remember correctly. But it's so dry at the same time, I don't know what the current state is of that. I am gonna zoom in a little bit more, so maybe you could see that peak up there. I used to know the name of this mountain or the trail or whatever, and I've long since forgotten it, but I don't think you have to even stay at the resort, if I remember correctly, to hike that. So to me, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that's one of my hikes that I really want to do. There's a hawk. I'm trying to follow it. Or a vulture, maybe. Castle Hot Springs and whatever the name of this mountain is that I forget now. And seas of healthy looking Sonoran Desert and saguaro cacti. And more vultures flying above, waiting for me to meet my end so they could pick my bones clean, right? Not gonna happen today, birds. Not today. This might be helpful, like if you're planning on staying at the resort, clearly you gotta drive dirt roads to get back here. Clearly the roads are, I would say, passable for passenger vehicles, unless this thing's a river again, but I don't see any evidence of water. Part of me wonders if I'm actually on private property right now on the road. I bet I am not. I bet the property line comes right up there. So if you want to get really technical, unless there's some other restriction, because I haven't reviewed charts or anything, I bet you I could totally legally fly my drone and take off from here and not technically be breaking any rules of the law. It's sometimes though when it comes to droning, it's not just me all about can I fly here or not. Sometimes it's about being courteous and trying to set a good example for people flying drones, because although I've only run into one person that got really nasty. There's a burro right there eating right next to the road. But I think there's lots of good signage back here, so if you don't have Onyx, you probably could navigate this whole road, because down here there's a lot of like shoot offs, but that's very clearly marked if it's private property or what have you. And now I want to say when my wife and I drove through here last time, I want to say it was this section of road where there was like, maybe it had recently rained and all of the, there's burrows everywhere back here. But I want to say that there was like water following the road like it was a river in this area, probably coming off one of the washes. And it was really cool, actually. She could probably show old footage of that to compare. Or maybe we haven't gotten to that part yet, and it might be down this ways. And maybe there's yet to be some of that. I'm kind of being nosy. There's really interesting looking residences and stuff built into the rocks over there that, you know, you can't really see because I'm facing you forward. But it's just, I wanted to come here again because it's just a really interesting landscape. It's a fun, easy dirt road drive that, I don't know, what do you guys think? You've seen it for yourself. I mean, I'm sure a passenger car can do this whole thing. I can't think of one hairy spot today, not even one bad rut we've come across. I know I've seen people coming this way to get to the resort. I'm guessing they typically come from the other end because it's probably less driving. But, you know, and I see lots of passenger cars driving up to the resort. I saw the parking lot. I've seen mostly passenger cars, so I don't want to make bad recommendations and get people in trouble. But dare I say, for you Sunday drivers out there, granted, always weather pending, you got to check the weather and know the conditions, but there are probably many good days where, as long as you're willing to put up with the bumpiness of the road, because it's a little bumpy, but not bad, probably just about anybody could probably make a nice Sunday drive out of this route. I should also note that we put a short out on YouTube and Instagram the other day, like plugging or advertising this upcoming series that we're starting. I think it just said new adventures coming, and you see me driving up a really scary road. Hopefully it looks scary because it was in reality. And that is our first video that's coming out. We were going to release it this Thursday, but then I opted to do this drive today and kind of segue into the new Cactus Atlas. It's like new Pepsi. Just to kind of like bridge that, explain what we're up to. I know we just released last week, or last Thursday, I should say, just a few days ago, like a historic retelling of some old videos we did that combined multiple videos into one. Tumacacori, Alto, and Kentucky Camp. And it's doing, like, the number of views is way better than our usual stuff, so I'm hoping it's a sign that my hunch is correct, that when we do historical subjects and that kind of thing, I'm hoping that it draws in the bigger crowds. And if that's a sign that it is, then we should be in decent shape going forward. But do note that all of the content that's about to come out, it's not recycling old videos or reworking old videos. It's brand new, brand spanking new, current, and sometimes very adventurous. There's another burrow. In fact, this one's pretty close, so I'm gonna see if we can, it's a single one too. I'm gonna see if we can get a quick look, 'cause I think we're getting closer back to 74 actually. We're probably not too far off. This one here seems a little bit more chill than that last group. It's paying attention to me, but in fact, I don't want it to think that I'm gonna feed it. I don't want to invite it over here. But this one actually might be better trained. I'm gonna back off. I was trying to call it over to me. I'm not messing with that. I'm gonna guess it's trained on being fed by people. Oh yeah, it's interested in me big time. Look at that. I don't know, buddy. I'm gonna kind of started going like, making that noise, and it liked that. I didn't feel like it was aggressive at all. But, yeah, now it kind of walked off. Everybody's like stopping now. It's like, I feel like I'm in Yosemite, or not Yosemite, in Yellowstone, causing traffic jams. But I know one or two of you is like, why are you afraid of the burro, man? Like, it's just a burro. Like, you get bit by one of those wild ones, and then you come talk to me, man. I do like them, though. I think they're pretty animals. I love them. Like, if I could be an old school prospector and have my own little donkey, that's like a dream. With all this AI stuff and how things are going right now, I would honestly, if I could take a ticket straight back to the 1800s or the early 1900s and just go prospecting with my little donkey, like a seldom seen Slim or a Shorty Harris, and live the life those guys live through lean times, good times. I think as a human being, I would be a much happier person than living in these modern times. I feel like most people would say they felt like they were born too early. I would say I was born too late. But right out there, it might be hard to see, is water, and I believe that should be Lake Pleasant. Very popular with boaters and people hanging out in the summer. To me, it's the Mos Eisley of Phoenix. So I don't do the lake thing often. There are good people too. But one thing that I want to point out is like up here in this area, this is a cool area for doing off-roading. And in fact, I want to say that might be the road that connects with some other ones. Like, one of my best adventures on this channel actually is somewhere way, way deep in that thing. There's some really cool history out there. There's this thing called the China Dam. Not a lot of info on it, but presumably an old, like, late 1800s or early 1900s dam. There's an old ghost town on private property, I can't think of the name of it, that I've never seen, somewhere out there. But then this other thing that is out there called the Thule Homestead, this old house owned by an old miner. There's an old grave of his dog from the 1920s out there. Really old school homestead house. It's got like the cans and bottles like mixed into the concrete. That was an amazing adventure. I guess it depends on how you go about it. I definitely got back there, but it was pushing it maybe for a stock 4x4 at times, if I'm being honest. There were a couple times I was a little nervous on that one, but yeah, I think there's a treasure trove of things to discover out in that desert north of Lake Pleasant. But those are a couple examples. I'm plugging the videos, really, and that's really a good one to maybe use it as an example of the kind of thing that I've gone back to and the kind of thing I've been seeking out recently. And yes, even the drives and the roads get adventurous like that again. So, like, if you're into dirt roading, especially in stock 4x4s, and then finding really cool, obscure pieces of history like that, I'm your huckleberry. That's what we're doing again. That's what I'm in the middle of now. And today is not a good example. Today is a casual exploration, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll put a link down in that description. Check that video out. If you like that, if you're new and you found me today and you want to know what I'm really about, that's what I'm talking about. All right, let's continue our little tour of Castle Hot Springs Road. I'm not trying to walk it back, but I was talking about Lake Pleasant, which is not always that pleasant. I think I used the word scum. I'm not trying to be mean, but there are some people that hang out at those kind of places, I think, that kind of ruin the fun for everyone else sometimes. I guess what comes to mind for me are just like the really heavy drinkers, the people that are getting wasted, driving around drunk, and that kind of rabble is really what I had in mind when I said that. People that kind of, can put other people's safety in danger and I'm all for having a good time. I'm all for like having fun, but you know the kinds that I'm talking about, kind of disrupting everybody else's fun and all that. Like, to me, the Arizona reservoirs are just, it's just too much of that. So bumpy over here. Just trying to reduce the noise of my camera equipment. Just, we found the washboards finally, everybody. So if any of you have actually stayed at Castle Hot Springs Resort, I know I was saying, making assumptions that could absolutely be erroneous and saying it's for the rich folk. I'm sure it's not cheap for most people, but I do want to give it a fair handshake. So, and there's nothing wrong if you've stayed there. I'm not gonna like sit there and like chastise someone and say, you actually stayed there, I'm genuinely interested to know more about it. I'm sure it's wonderful to stay at. So I'd be curious, like if you've stayed there, like comment down below and let me know like what it's like. Is it worth doing it? I know I've gotten comments in the past and they usually portrayed it as hyped. But I'd like to know, because it does look beautiful. I mean, it is a beautiful hidden spot. And I love that lush green. The lawn looks so lush and green and beautiful with all the palm trees. But I'm also not really a hot spring soaker. That's not my thing. I'm gonna guess that is primarily the Hell's Canyon Wilderness, like that we've been kind of going around, and then that resort and stuff is back down that ways somewhere. I don't know where the peak with a flag is anymore. I do see a sharp peak kind of in the middle off in the distance. That might be where it was, but I've kind of lost it now in all of these other mountains. But it is beautiful. So just a really quick review. Remember, starting next Thursday, we get hot and heavy on the new age, the revisiting of what made the Cactus Atlas awesome back in the day. Not that I think a lot of you would say it's still awesome. You loved the Northern Tour. I had fun doing it. But for me, it somehow feels like we're going back to our true roots that I kind of diverted from for a long time. So, you know, if you want to support us, if you're cheering us on, the best thing you can do, quite honestly, is just watch the videos. For one, that right there is really big. Number two, you know, do all the YouTube stuff, like the videos, tell the algorithm you like it, tell it you dislike it too. Both are equally good for me, actually. Likes and dislikes help. And then one really big one is tell your friends, word of mouth. Like let a friend that's interested in this stuff know about it, share it. Send them a link to a video. That kind of thing is huge for us. I may have plans in the future to extend the Cactus Atlas. I'm currently toying around. A lot of you ask about t-shirts, merch. I didn't even get into any of that today. I am toying around with some ideas there. Not 100% committing to that one. Not sure how much business sense that's going to make for me at this juncture, but keep an ear out. I've got some ideas cranking in my head. But yeah, I mean, like I said, watch the videos because you like them, right? Don't watch them just to watch them. I want you to watch them because you like them. And yeah, remember us. Remember what I asked you. If you haven't checked out RV or TV, 100% go check out a video. I'm that confident. If you like my stuff, you're gonna love his stuff. Just be sure to come back here every once in a while. Don't go too far away. But be sure to check his channel out. Check out the links we put down below. And yeah, I think that's really the main thing that I wanted to discuss today. All right, buckle up. We'll see you next week when we're gonna start off with a bang, trust me. So next Thursday, be sure to tune in and get ready for the next wave of amazing stuff. Some of the best stuff I've filmed in years, I would say, is how I feel about it. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed getting a more recent update from me, and we'll see you starting next Thursday when the real fun begins. Bye.